Hi, this is Rebecca, and today I'm talking about chapter 9 in this amazing book, Outwitting the Devil, published by Napoleon Hill. Actually, he was long gone when it finally got published, but it's the most amazing book to read in these times that we're living in. I highly recommend it. Chapter 9 is called Education and Religion, and he starts to explain more about how the devil can control the minds of humans and turn them into drifters. Napoleon asks him in this chapter, what about people that have definiteness of purpose, which is one of the key elements to being a successful person? You must have definiteness of purpose in order to succeed at what you want to do with your life. And some people become very successful, but then they find out after they achieve their success that there are certain things that they don't like about their lives. You know, things come up that aren't quite aligned with their happiness. And the devil explains that people who have inner peace and happiness and joy within themselves find ways to get rid of the things that don't serve them anymore. That's all part of having definiteness of purpose. You're able to separate what you don't want in your life from what serves you. And you become even more on purpose with what you're doing. Then he asked the devil, what about married people that aren't really happy living together anymore? Does that detract them from their definite purpose? And the devil says, oh, yes. If you're living in a situation that is full of friction and discord, it takes you off your purpose because it depletes that energy. It creates the habit of drifting and indefiniteness because you're busy trying to solve that problem, right? Or find some peace. And as long as you're in a situation like that, you cannot be fully engaged in your definiteness of purpose. Then he asks, well, what about children? Do they have a duty, an obligation to their parents for having given birth to them and having them? Are they supposed to go along with everything their parents want them to do? No, says the devil. It's the other way around. The parents have an obligation to their children to give them as much knowledge as they can after they bring them into this world. But it's up to every single individual to find their own happiness, their own purpose, and their own definiteness of purpose. And he makes it very clear that happiness is something that is almost the first requirement to being an individual who can help other people on the planet. Because once you've found a way to make yourself happy, then you can spread it and share it with other people and find ways to help other people along the way. Another thing he touches on in this chapter is prayer. And the devil explains why people get exactly what they're praying for, whether they understand it or not. Because when you desire something, you start praying for it. Many times it's when you've reached that point where you're desperate. You need a prayer to be answered. Something terrible may be happening in your life and you're praying, trying to pray your way out of it. Well, if you're fearful while you're praying, you're going to get what you're fearing. That's how prayer works. And he explains that Jesus was right. You know, ask as if you've already received it. And all the other great mystics have said the same thing. You need to feel the end result, feel like you've already gotten what you're praying for without any doubt or any fear. As long as there's fear left in your consciousness that you're not going to get it, it's not going to happen, it trips it up. It keeps it from happening. Affirmative prayer claims exactly what you want in a way that higher intelligence can find a way to bring it to you. And that's the other thing about this chapter. It's quite a long chapter. He goes into the different ways that the educational system could be turned around if we would start teaching children how to think for themselves instead of just pouring information into their heads. If they were learning how to actually think instead of what to think, we would have a whole different kind of civilization. And it's important that children be taught that there's always a solution. If you're a metaphysical person, you begin to understand this, that a problem never comes along in your life, and I don't care what it is, without a solution. But you need to know how to think in order to think about how to find the solution. And the chapter goes on to explain that when you have definiteness of purpose, and you know exactly what you're trying to accomplish while you're here, and you have a passion for it, you can tap into this higher intelligence that's always there for you to tap into in order to solve your problems and find the answers that you need.